ahead, guys.
But what was the biggest, when you look at defensively last night, things that just didn't work for you? I mean, it seemed like at times guys are kind of like, do I stay, do I go out to the corner? What were the biggest just shortcomings last night?
Well, I think the biggest thing was our transition defense was not good. We had moments that we did it at a high level, but we didn't do it enough and consistently enough throughout the course of the game. I think in the first half they scored 18 points in transition. That was certainly a big factor in the game. Some of the free throws were probably a little bit misleading because we were fouling late, and then obviously we intentionally fouled Capella, I think, a few times there, but we probably fouled too much. And then, again, offensively, they're going to put you in scramble situations. To their credit, there was times where we really rotated and scrambled, and I thought defended well, and they still made shots. That's what you have to live with playing against them. But I think there's things you have control over that you've got to do a better job of taking care of.
Do you want to switch the pick and rolls? It seemed like some of those switches came pretty easy because they want to get you a big on a small and all that kind of stuff. Are there times maybe you want to be a little bit tougher on the switch and make them work a little bit harder, or did they play it like you wanted them?
No, we weren't switching. I mean, there was times we got caught on some switches, based on our switching partners, personnel-wise. And then there was several times where they're kind of going back and forth and kind of forcing the switch. But once the switch happens, that's where the team defense comes in. You can't just put a guy on an island by himself and expect him to guard a guy. I thought that when we did have some of those opportunities where we had some matchups that were a guard and a big on a small, we've got to do a better job, especially on dribble penetration, rotating than we did. And a couple times that we were late rotating, if we did take away a dunk, we were probably late getting to the corner.
I know there were some turnovers, but when teams take away Steven rolling like they tried to do last night, what are options that you have available to you? What else is open?
We did a better job in the second half. The first half, I didn't think our spacing and taking advantage of it was good enough. I thought we made the right passes to Steven several times, in terms of it was the right decision. I think a couple times Steven was kind of trying to seal. His momentum was going backwards. They were able to deflect a few balls away. We did get it to him a few times. We just didn't convert well enough there. I thought in the second half he was a lot more of a factor. That was certainly a point of emphasis at halftime. That if they're going to put a guard on him, that we've got to look at him rolling, and we've got to get him some opportunities at the basket. I thought we tried to do that a little bit in the first half. We just weren't as successful in the second half because we weren't doing that.
It seemed like a nice wrinkle that you got him and Paul working a little bit more in that second half as opposed to him and Russell.
Yeah, I mean, Paul is comfortable playing with Steven, and Steven does a good job screening for him. I think there's, because most of the time when Paul's in pick and roll, he's going to be in pick and roll a lot of times with Steven. A lot of times Carmelo and Paul's pick and rolls are switched, so they're always going against a switch. Steven's pick and rolls are generally not switched. So there's I think a chemistry there between those two.
Billy, you've talked a lot about wanting to use Andre in film sessions or however you can vocally. What's his demeanor in this whole process, last 5 or 6 weeks or so? Have you seen it change at all? Has it been regular Andre?
No, I mean, he's just regular himself. I think he's happy when he's here in the building. I think I heard some of his comments. I mean, the rehab is really tedious. You're limited in terms of the way you can get around. You can't bend your knee. He's working hard at the rehab. He's disconnected from the team on road trips. Games he can't sit on the bench. There's a lot he's got to go through mentally there. But, for him, he always comes in here with good spirits. But I'm sure for him, the mental component of day after day after day, because I think a lot of times, when you think rehabilitation, a lot of times you think you're kind of putting the work in. So, but right now that's not even his rehab because he's not even bending his knee, but there's things he's got to do that are part of the recovery process. So, I think for him, when he can really get back and he's putting forth effort, into his, his effort in terms of what he can do physically, I think that will probably inspire him. But I think, it's been a long road for him. He's a team guy. He's a really, really terrific person. And, you hate to see that kind of injury happen to someone like him. And certainly somebody that was, extremely valuable to our team.
Every player who's got a long-term injury says you can't stay totally connected in the way you would, obviously, if you were healthy. You talk about film sessions. Are there other things you guys try to do just to kind of make him feel a part of it?
Probably make him do media with you guys. Again, it's just talking to him, it's having him here in the practice facility. The hard part is when there's like that disconnect, so to speak, shoot around, and then he'll be in the back a little bit with the guys in the locker room, but the game's going on, he's not even out there, because he can't sit on the bench. You pick up and you go on a road trip and he's by himself. I think those are the hard parts. So the biggest thing is when we're here in the building, is to really try to fully engage him in what we're doing, have him a part of film sessions, have him a part of talking to different players, him going through his process of rehabilitation, all those things. That's like the best we can do is when we're all here in the building. When we're not in the building, I think that's where it can become challenging mentally for him.
When you're trying to create spacing and open up the three-point line, how much of it falls on, the guy who's running the offense, whether it's Russell or Raymond or Paul who has the ball in his hands, and how much falls on the coaching staff in order to devise something to where you can open up some three-point shots on the perimeter?
Well, I think anything offensively or defensively, it's everybody. It's coaches involved, players, everybody working together. But I didn't think. I thought midway through the first quarter, start the second quarter, I thought we were really, really good offensively. I thought to close that second quarter, we were not great. Came out the third quarter, we were better. And then we had a lull there in the third quarter again. And I think a lot of it has to do with we got to keep the ball moving. When there's matchups that you have an advantage, the ball's quickly got to go to the post, or it's got to be a guard attacking it big quickly. And I thought a lot of times we got caught holding on to the ball. It's not one player. It's everybody. It's all five guys working together on the floor. It's spacing. It's, if a big's rolling, him trying to seal correctly. If a guard's got a big on him, does he have space to go play? But the minute when the ball stops moving, it allows the defense to load, it allows the defense to get help, and it makes it a lot more difficult to penetrate and kick and shoot threes. So I think all that falls on everybody.
Now,
Russell?
in the same instance, like when the guy's in the post and he's getting doubled, does it fall on him more so to recognize that, or does it fall on the people around him to move in order to create passing angles and create a movement for him off the ball?
Well, first of all, you got to locate where the double is coming from, and they were doubling from the low side.
Yeah.
So from there, they were trying to influence us on post-ups to go towards the baseline. That's one of those things where one is you've got to give the guy outlets, because once they put two on the ball, you're playing 4 against 3. So you've got to have guys in good open spots. There was a play, I think, that Russell did a really good job on a post-up. He kind of held the ball for a little bit in the first half, and I think he found Paul cutting and he missed a layup. We didn't really have good spacing on that play. Russell got caught, he didn't have an outlet. Paul did a good job of kind of recognizing that and getting into the teeth of the defense. There was a play in the second half, I believe, where Russell was down the post, and we had really good spacing, and he threw, I think, a pass right to the top of the key to Raymond for a 3, which he made. So the spacing is really, really important, coupled with when the ball's at the basket and there's 2 on the ball, the other 4 guys have got to find open avenues, whether it's on dives to the basket or pulling across into slot areas where they can make passes.
Thank you, Coach.
Thanks.